Welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. Now, Poland is pondering joining the newly launched US-led Board of Peace, while NATO's Mark Rutte urges EU flexibility on Ukraine arms sourcing. At the same time, Poland secures a record 43.7 billion euro under the SAVE program. And in Warsaw, Foreign Minister Sikorski and President Nawrocki moved to ease tensions over ambassadorial appointments. Joining us today on TVP World to unpack all of this is Bartłomiej Kot, a director of Warsaw office and Aspen Institute CE. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello, lovely to be here with you.
So first thing first, let's take a look at this strategic significance of Board of Peace and where do you think Poland lies when it comes to joining or not this Trump-led initiative?
Well, the question is whether that's literally the strategic aspect in the Board of Peace that is the crucial part. I would say that this is a willingness from President Trump to a bit of privatize the foreign policy of the U.S. How it is constructed, how it puts the leadership of the president at the core of the whole initiative, and also take into account who's invited. All of this actually constitute a bit of the factors for Poland. Of course, Poland is extremely interested in sustaining a good working relationship with the U.S., but also a good private relationship with the president of the U.S., Mr. Trump himself. Since the Polish paradigm of foreign policy, and especially the security policies, actually put on two pillars. The one being, a loyal supporter of the U.S. interests, also vis-à-vis Europe, but also in generally speaking, taking U.S. as the security guarantor, perceiving U.S. as the security guarantor of the country, and the second pillar being actually a loyal and solidarity-driven member state of the U.S. of the European Union. Mm-hmm. The two factors, the two pillars, were actually going hand in hand for majority of the existence of the Third Republic since 1989, and currently because of the divisions between the two institutions, between the U.S. and the European Union, might be quite problematic to sustain these two ideas. This brings us to the topic. This brings us to the point where we have to decide what to do with the invitation to the Board of Peace. Of course, the fact that both President Putin and President Lukashenko were invited, this also puts a question mark on the moral aspect of the decision-making process, and of course, and I would say the third question here is the purely procedural aspect of the whole discussion, since it is in the Polish case not only the president who makes the decision, but also of course the government and also the parliament. The three branches have to go aligned when it comes to this response to the idea.
Right. There's an argument that's being made that the political gridlock actually placed in Poland's favor at the time, giving Nawrocki way out saying that we would want to participate within the Board of Peace. However, the government needs to approve it as well, kind of giving a little bit of breathing room to make decisions. Do you subscribe to that idea?
Yes, we were quite lucky when it comes to the political divisions here in this country. Usually they do not play in our favor because of how you project your stance in foreign policy. But sometimes they give room for a proper explanation to the Trump administration why there is a hesitation on the Polish side. Because even on the side of, let's say, right-wing political parties in this country, aligning with everything what is done currently in Washington or in any kind of the ideological aspects of Trump's administration activity, especially vis-à-vis Russia, might be problematic. Although not necessarily it is publicly spoken of, even the electorate of these political parties puts, let's say, a question mark over certain activities of Mr. Trump, the ones that are connected to, for example, the solution of the war in Ukraine. For that very aspect, it is in the interest of not only country, of course, right now to be a bit hesitant to wait until the exact decisions are being made also by other European allies, but it is also, let's say, well politically played internally in Polish domestic politics.
Yeah. Now, moving on to a recent statement by Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General, calling for flexibility in Ukraine aid, saying that, well, you should not just buy European, but also considering sourcing it from the United States as well. Do you think that is an attempt from the Secretary General to appease the U.S. administration, or does it come from a more strategic and pragmatic kind of direction?
I wouldn't say that this is purely a political narrative. Of course, Mr. Rutte is right now in a position when he has to play both hands, and he has to do whatever it takes to sustain the transatlantic link. But this is also in the interest of Poland, to be honest. What is crucial here is that so that we understand that, of course, while we construct the security of the European continent, there is a place for activity from both the European Union but also from the US within the NATO alliance. Even if the US pushes NATO allies, the European ones, to pay more for defense, to procure more, to build their own defense, it is achievable also through the certain mechanisms that are operating right now within the European Union. But the European Union alone cannot and will not easily swap the capabilities that are provided to European allies through the connections with the US. Mostly, we speak about these so-called strategic enablers. Even if we pay decades, 5% and more, we would have a hard time achieving the capabilities that are right now provided to European allies, thanks to the relationship with the US. I'm not only talking about the nuclear capabilities, the nuclear umbrella here, but also the strategic enablers. They also cover capabilities such as the space capabilities, certain intelligence capabilities, air refueling capabilities, etc., etc. This cannot be easily achieved by the Europeans in a time frame that we're speaking of right now, in a time frame where the threat from the Russian side could actually materialize.
Right. Quickly looking at Canada, though, it does seem like they're going the opposite direction. When pressured to buy the F-35 fighter jets, they're actually taking interest more in Sweden's Gripen jets. Do you think that there's some divergent interest here between Canada and NATO Secretary General?
No, not at all. I mean, Canada is in a different geographical and geopolitical setting than most of the European allies. That's obvious. The security of Canada is provided right now by the US and has been for a long time. In fact, Canada is lagging behind when it comes to achieving their own security capabilities. Also, the ones that are very much related to the security of the Arctic. If the actions were taken sooner, then probably the discussion around Greenland would be completely in a different shape right now. But leaving that, somewhere on the margins, Canada has this privilege of having more time to decide, certainly, as compared to a lot of the European allies, especially the ones that are on the eastern flank. But they also have to understand the connections to the US they have. The Trump administration has the upper hand over Canada in most of the trade-related discussions. So they can and they are putting more pressure on the Prime Minister of Canada, but thanks to these leverages they have. But they're also interested. I mean, whatever you talk about the Trump administration, how they talk with Canadians. The one thing is for certain, they are interested in Canada's security, because this is like the security of the homeland of the US. For the Americans themselves, that's completely different gravity of discussion as compared to even to the European security.
All right. Now, zooming into Poland, we've recently seen also the European Union approving Poland's massive 43.7 billion euro SAVE plan. Can you help us understand how this is going to reshape the country's defense landscape?
That's an interesting thing, because Poland would be profiting from almost 1/3 of the whole loan that is right now packed within the SAFE mechanism. Of course, we also are using very much the composition of the mechanism, especially for the first year of its existence, where the countries can also put ahead projects that are delivered single-handedly, because in the longer term, SAFE would also be very much supportive towards the conglomerates of states working together to boost the European defense production. At the first segment, at the first stage of SAFE, it is possible also to conduct the project single-handedly within the SAFE mechanism. For Poland, this is especially interesting, because that allows us to use this money also for the projects and for the procurement that was long overdue. That's one thing. Secondly, that prioritizes acquiring capabilities that are needed right now, and not only looking very much far ahead into the future, and the capabilities that are also necessary for the protection of the eastern flank, especially the drone related capabilities, the air missile defense, the artillery. So those are all the elements that could be easily also packed under the idea of establishing a proper protection of the eastern flank. So for many reasons, this instrument is extremely important for Poland and for Polish development of our own capabilities. Not only the production ones, of course this is also hugely important, especially when you look at the ammunition production, but also important for acquiring the capabilities as we speak, that are needed as we speak.
Great. Last but not least, we're looking at the talks between the president and the foreign minister. We've recently touched on the gridlock having also an effect on the foreign policy projection. And recently, there seems to be a little bit of ease of tension when it comes to the ambassadorial appointments. What's the latest development on that?
Yeah, that's good that actually both gentlemen spoke with each other, that they met. We heard that those were the constructive talks, which is always great to hear. No further details as of the communiqué, but we know that most of these discussions are dedicated to the ambassadorial posts, especially the ones in Washington and Italy, by the way, which is not maybe the most important security-wise direction these days, but they construct certain political issues that are hugely divisive in Polish domestic politics. What is crucial for the Polish effectiveness when we talk about the foreign policy, it is that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs communicates well with the president when it comes to especially the transatlantic bilateral Polish-US relations, because President Nawrocki has a good working relationship with President Trump. That is not necessarily the case for Mr. Sikorski these days, although Mr. Sikorski has a good working relationship with the Department of State, which is also crucial for conducting the everyday diplomacy. And at the same time, if you have a person who is appointed to become the ambassador and is of course positioned in these countries, already they're working, is trying to establish the working relationship. If that's only charged d'affaires without the former stamp from the president, that always lowers the position of this person, because it also look, those countries, they also have ambassadors in Poland. They know what is going on in the domestic politics, so they know also what is the political wave behind each and every person they talk with. So they would prefer, of course, people who are having communication lines, good working relationship with both the government and the president.
All right, thank you so much for helping us understand the very complicated dynamics between the two, but really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
TV World. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.